If you can overcome bias, you can become extremely powerful, extremely wealthy, and extremely successful. Why? And how to overcome that bias. Let's deal with that in this episode. Bias is what keeps you blinded. Bias is what keeps you in a fixed frame of mind so that you don't have that flexibility, adaptability, that in Korean it's 유연성. I guess fluidity would be the right word. Fluidity would be you have the ability to flow like water and fit into any circumstance and be held. In this situation, only a snake can make money. Well, you become a snake. In this situation, only a hammer can make money. Well, you become that hammer. That's adaptability. That's flexibility. And bias keeps you from being able to do that. I'll give you a real, right now, example. There's a scientist online. I love talking to scientists because they have all these facts, but they also have all these biases built around those facts, and they don't even realize that they have these biases. And it's so weird. They claim to be extremely factual, and yet they believe in extreme selective facts. So they're ignoring. Anyway, I'll give you an example. I just started with a supposition that astrology works. Just a supposition. I don't actually think astrology works. I know it doesn't work because astrologers, current day, modern day astrologers do it wrong. Anyway, but this is what I started with. Astrology can work. And he said, no, it can't because it's all based on superstition and this, that, and okay, so all these generalizations. I said it works. He says it doesn't work. He says it doesn't work because it's based on superstition. These are just generalizations. Well, in order to get to the bottom of something, you actually have to pinpoint something. You have to specifically identify an issue and then figure out whether it's logical, mechanical, and scientific, or whether it's actually wishful thinking or biased or whatnot. So I asked him, I said, okay, astrology basically says that the position of the stars or the position of the planets affects your personality, affects your luck in life, affects when you're going to get rich, if you're going to get rich at all, when you're going to find love, if you can actually find your true love or not. You might not even be blessed enough to find your true love, your true calling, or your fortune if you're born with the wrong star signs, supposedly. Now, it's not that simple, and I'm just telling you that a lot of this is wrong. Okay, a lot of this is wrong. But just for the sake of argument, I'm arguing this with him. And he said, okay, so what's your point? You're saying that astrology can do all those things? The scientist is asking me, so you think astrology can determine someone's life and this, that, and the other? So I asked, okay, let me ask you a question then. Your choices, the choices that you make, determine whether you become rich or not, whether you find your soulmate or not, whether you get married or whether you get divorced or not, right? The choices that you make. Can you agree on that? And he says, yeah, that's statistically provable, that's documentable, that's obvious that the choices that you make either make you rich or poor. Okay. And your personality, your temperament affects the choices that you make. Is that true or false? And he says, yeah, I mean, that's you could do a laboratory experiment about that, and depending on your current mood or your permanent temperament, if you're permanently a Karen, you're permanently going to do Karen-y things, right? So yeah, your temperament is going to affect your decisions. Okay, good. We agree so far. The decisions you make affect whether you get rich, and your temperament affects the decisions you make. Okay. Your DNA, can we agree that your DNA affects your temperament and your personality, or at least your IQ, because your IQ will impact your temperament. If you have really low IQ and you're frustrated in life, you're going to be pissed off a lot. Can we agree that your IQ, your personality impacts your temperament, which then impacts your actions? Okay, I guess, yeah, sure. Yeah, that's documented too. So we're agreeing about everything so far, right? One at a time, we analyze, we specify. We're agreeing on everything. Okay, so your IQ affects your temperament, and your temperament, your personality, then affects your decision making, and your decision making affects whether you're rich or poor, happy or unhappy, or married or single. Okay, so your DNA actually affects, in turn, whether you get rich or whether you get married or whether you get divorced. Well, yeah, you could say that. You could make a case for that. There are cases where your DNA okay. Did you know that gravity affects your DNA? Oh, does it? And he looks it up. Oh, look. Sure enough, depending on whether you're born in the mountains, which has more gravity than at sea level, depends on whether you were born in the winter or whether you were born in the summer, depends on whether the moon was over the top of you or on the other side of the earth at the time you were born. Because if you're on the earth, let's say you're right here, born on earth, and the earth is pulling you, right? But the moon is over here, the moon is also pulling you. So you have more gravity when the moon is on the other side of the earth than when the moon is on this side. On this side, what the moon is doing is lifting everything that's water or anything. It's just lifting everything. The entire sea, the high tide rises and bulges up when the moon is on this side. And you are like 80-something, 90% water. You're 90% water. So you have less gravity if the moon is here and you're here, and more gravity. Gravity affects your DNA. Oh, look, I guess it does. Okay, so gravity affects your DNA, which in turn affects your temperament, which in turn affects your judgment making, which in turn decides whether you get rich or poor, happy or unhappy, married or single or divorced or whatnot. So gravity affects whether or not you get rich. Gravity affects whether or not you get poor. Gravity affects whether you're married or divorced. Where does gravity come from? The planets. Yeah. The gravity comes from the planets, and the fact that planets circle the Earth, and as they circle and get closer to the Earth, lots of gravity. Moves farther away from the Earth, less gravity. Lots of gravity, less gravity. It's literally like a car siren that as it approaches you, it's like a car horner. It's that simple. So we agree now that the location of the planets determines your DNA, which then determines your IQ, which then determines your temperament, which then determines your personality, and it determines your decision-making abilities, which determines whether you get rich or poor. Oh no, that's deterministic. Do you see what just happened there? It's deterministic. He says, there's a bias here. Okay. If it's science, it's true. All of this is scientific, it's true. All of this is not scientific, it's false. But what if it's scientific and it's also, there's a Venn diagram, it's scientific, okay? True. Not scientific, false. But what if there's a little overlap where it's scientific, but there's a third wheel in here that's partially deterministic, right in here. What if it's this thing that's scientific and it's deterministic? That's not true. It's deterministic. If I throw a brick off a building and it lands on someone's head, it's going to kill him. No, that's deterministic. That's not true. That's not going to happen. That's a superstition. Okay, if I drink hydrochloric acid, then I'm gonna die. No, you're not gonna die. That's deterministic. That's like you're creating a preconceived notion of one event leading to another. It doesn't happen. That doesn't work. This is how human beings think. This is what bias is all about. So, since this is a finance-based YouTube channel, not a astrology or not a quantum gravity, quantum physics channel, I'm going to relate this to you in terms of money. The things you think will make you money, by and large, might be right. The scientific stuff is correct, unless it's deterministic. Then it's not scientific. but it is scientific because I've already proven to you that there are many things that are deterministic in science that are actually correct. But you have this one blind spot. It's scientific plus deterministic. Oh, must not be correct, must be wrong. And you're just in this like mental hypnosis state. If it's scientific but it's deterministic, it is wrong. You have these things with finance. You have these things with trading. You have these things with, oh, if it's a meme coin, it's a scam. Oh, if it's high leverage, it's going to get me liquidated. Yeah, this is what you do. You've seen people make 10,000 times their money, 100,000 times their money, right? That's just survivorship bias. That's just deterministic. There's a way to do it. You buy one meme coin, it gets rugged. You buy another meme coin, you lose 80% of your money. You buy yet another meme coin. Every single time you do. I had a buddy of mine. Every time he went to the horse track, or every time he went to Vegas, he made a ton of money. He's no smarter or no luckier. Actually, he's pretty smart. This is what he did. He bets on a horse. He loses. He doubles that bet the next time. He bets on a horse. He loses again. He triples the money. And then the odds of you losing 5-6 times in a row is just so small. If you look, I know the odds are the same every time you bet. But if you look at the whole picture, it's very unlikely that you're going to lose every single time. Odds of the whole versus the odds of the event. He comes away and he makes a ton of money. He starts very, very small. And the funny thing about him, he's disciplined. So he starts with very small money. He starts with like $10 or $50 or whatever it is. And if he gets double his money and he wins, he quits. Literally, he's out. It's like, oh man, I doubled my money on my first bet. And he's upset. That's okay, he's out. He's just gonna have a nice a surf and turf dinner with 3 olive martinis after that, and he's fine. He's totally fine. He would rather lose the first bet, lose the second bet on the third bet when he's actually in for like $3,000, double his money, and now he's got $6,000 back. He would rather that, but it doesn't always work out that way. Sometimes he only makes $50. That's how you bet. That's how you overcome your bias. You have to have systems, you have to have processes, and you have to be able to make the numbers work in your favor. So don't give up. Keep investing in. Right now, it looks like Biden is going to skyrocket because Biden is coming up with all these antics. He's trying to do all the things that Trump wanted to do before Trump gets into office, which means that Trump's getting into office. He's so sure that Trump is getting into office that he's letting Julian Assange go. Next thing you know, he's going to let Ross Ulbricht go. And the funny thing is, they're 5-year sentences, which means that these guys are going to get free and out of office when Donald Trump is already not president anymore. He can't stand to see Donald Trump win. Oh man, I bet just me saying these words is going to get this video flagged. Anyway, get that and get Continuum coin. Continuum coin ends in 77 because I know you guys are in America, you guys are in the Middle East, you guys are in Europe and Canada. I get it. You don't use the stuff that Continuum is based on. It's in English so that you can get a taste of it. But Chinese people, you know how many Chinese people there are? There's like 6-7 times more Chinese people than white people. Literally, not counting Korean, not counting Japanese, just Chinese people. There are 6 or 7 times more Chinese people, and 80% of them, that's like 5 times the population of all of Europe, Canada, and America combined. 5 Americas, 5 Canadas, and 5 Europes, all combined, all believing in and using astrology for matchmaking, for dating, for hiring, for employment, for wedding dates, for even feng shui, for where they should buy a house, which direction they should have their bed. They use all these astrologers, and they're all wrong. That's the premise of this entire conversation. All these astrologers are wrong, and scientists are saying they're wrong because they're not using scientific anything. Astrology is supposed to be based on the stars. And if you ask an astrologer, well, where's Mars today? They can't tell you. Well, how do you... Okay, astrology is based on the moon, and you can tell them, and you ask them, when was moonrise today? And they can't tell you. So how are they going to do astrology? It's like, I'm a barista, and what kind of bean are you using? Soybeans. I'm a barista. What beans are you using? Mung beans. So of course, if you take something that's scientific, take modern day science right now. Take modern day science. It's super, super advanced, right? Imagine if we had a massive EMP destroy everything, and there's no more computers or anything. 100, 200 years from now, everyone would be using modern scientific terms as pseudoscience. And I'm pretty sure that's how astrology, which is supposed to be able to tell you how the stars and the universe impacts human thinking and human love and human luck and human harmonics, basically. They just took a really advanced science. I like to think of it as alien level science, because I have no idea how people 5,500 years ago could have figured out how quantum gravity from Jupiter, when it intersects with the quantum gravity from Mercury, affects human beings' decision making today. It's like, how did 5,500 years ago primitive people figure? I don't. Only answer is alien technology. That's the only simple. Anyway, that's the simple cartoon answer. And then you give that technology to just Neanderthals, and what are they going to do? They're not going to know how to maintain it. They're not going to know how to recalibrate it based on the current locations of all the stars and all the planets, and which is what Future View does. And Future View is accepting Continuum coin for the people that can't pay using PayPal, which is all of China. All of China. All of China. Google it, Google it, Google it, Google it. Google what percentage of Chinese people believe in astrology. Now, what if they believed in astrology and we actually created a system that was dead on all the time? This year, September 12th, you're gonna get you're gonna fall down off of stairs and bruise your knee, and bam, it happens. 2 years from now, you're gonna meet somebody that you're gonna fall in love with, but they're actually your arch enemy. Ta-da! And bam, it happens. Even more impressive and immediate. Nobody's gonna remember 2 years ago someone told you a prophecy. No one remembers that. Is you meet someone new, you start dating them, you start dating someone brand new, and you enter their birth date into futureview.app, and it tells you exactly what happened to them, what already happened to them last month, 3 years ago, 17 years ago. Oh, looks like your parents got a divorce 11 years ago. You mean to tell me futureview.app is going to be that accurate? You don't think people are going to buy Continuum coin? I mean, how else can I explain this to you? So that's why I started to explain the need for you to overcome your bias. Only this sort of thing works. Only this sort of thing will make me rich. This is 100% off. No, the way you make money is to find the exception within the rule. If you cannot find the exception within the rule, you're looking for the rule within the rule, which is what everybody's looking for. Oh, it's safe? Oh, it's guaranteed, it's verified? Oh, then it's also already at $60,000 per Bitcoin. You have to get into these things before it's safe, before it's verified, before everyone agrees with you. Continuum coin. Look it up on Dex Tools. It ends in 77. The contract address ends in 77.